All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Jenaya Talks Caps podcast. And here we are. Here we find ourselves with another NHL season having come to a close, with the 2024-2025 season ending much the same way that the 2023-2024 season ended. That being with the Florida Panthers repeating as Stanley Cup champions over the Edmonton Oilers. Albeit in one fewer game this time, the Panthers this time getting the job done in 6 games rather than 7. And so I am joined here today by my good friend Gil from the Power Play Point podcast to talk about not only the Stanley Cup final, but we are also going to get into a bit of Caps off-season talk, discussing their pending free agents and other things of that nature. So Gil, hello. How's it going today? Let's start with that.
Pretty good, pretty good. It's Saturday afternoon here in DMV land, and yeah, can't believe we've gone through another season of hockey. Already waiting for October again, but that was quite a fun ride. That was quite the exciting final series. The last game was kind of a stinker, but the 5 games before that pretty wild.
Definitely. Yeah, I would agree. The last one or two games there were a little bit lopsided, but we will get into all of that. And yeah, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me again. We've done a couple of episodes before and I've really loved both of them. So really excited to have you back here today. And yeah, why don't you just start off reminding everyone too, like just where you're coming to us from, the show that you do with Anna, and just let everyone know where they can find you as well right off the top.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, thanks, Jenaya, for having me on again. So now I feel like I kind of have to return the favor to even the score because the 2 times, yeah. So last time we were together on your show, and the first time was on our show. So yes, the one I'm on is that I host is it's called the Power Play Point Podcast, as Jenaya mentioned. We run from the beginning of the season till when the Caps get eliminated, or as in the case of 2018, win the Cup and go all the way. Um, and so we run from October till then. And my usual co-host is Anna Knox. Call her the Mermaid. You want to find out why? Take a listen to the show. We'll be back on when we get a lot closer to training camp and the start of the season. But yeah, we usually run through the games, run through how the team's doing, and a little bit about ourselves. And but just two Caps fans talking about how the team is doing, and our whole perspective is that anybody and everybody that wants to talk Caps hockey is welcome to come on with us. Doesn't matter how much, how experienced you are, how long you've been a fan. We have a Hard Rock Cafe mentality, as I like to call it, the love all, serve all. You're more than welcome to come on with us and talk to us and be with us. And if you're a Caps fan, that's all you need.
Yeah, it's a great show. I listen to almost every episode. Once in a while I miss one, but I always try to catch every single one when I have a chance to. And yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite Caps podcasts out there. I love that how you guys have fans come on too and just have really great discussions with people who watch the team all the time. And as you said, anyone's welcome to come on, even me. So that's saying something. And yeah, like we'll just start today, even though it's not obviously directly Caps related, but pretty much everyone I think watched the Stanley Cup Final, so we'll talk about that first off the hop, seeing as how it just happened and just ended. So just to go through like a quick kind of summary recap game by game of the results here first. So the series starts off in Edmonton, right? Edmonton had the home ice advantage, which I think everyone thought was really gonna help them in this series as opposed to the final last season, right? Spoiler alert, it did not. So Edmonton does win game one, though, on a power play in overtime. They got the power play in overtime and Leon Draisaitl scores, so they win game one. So they're off to like a way better start than they were in last season's final when they went down 3 games to nothing. But game number two in Edmonton with the Panthers looking for the split. Brad Marchand, man, like I don't know what to say about this guy. I thought he was done watching him play with the Boston Bruins this season. He looked old, he looked slow, he looked like he just did not have it anymore. holy cow, was I wrong? Watching him in this Stanley Cup final, it seems all he needed was a little bit of a kick in the butt, a little bit of motivation, something to play for. Because as soon as he was like put into that Panthers lineup and back in the playoffs, old playoff Brad Marchand was back in there. And he had an incredible game in game number two, caps it off, scoring the double overtime winner. You caught this goal, I'm assuming. Like he
Oh yeah.
undresses the Oilers' entire defense for the win.
Yeah, just an absolute deflating goal. And I thought we were headed. Spoiler alert! I'm the hockey history guy, but I thought we were headed when I saw this happen. Thought we were headed back to 1951, where that was I think that was the only Stanley Cup Final series in history that where every game ended in overtime. And I thought, okay, maybe it's a lot closer than people think, and this is what we're going to get. And I'm such an overtime junkie anyway that I got excited about that. And but yet to see Brad Marchand break through like that with I don't know, maybe it was this change of scenery. Maybe Florida really has a fountain of youth. I don't know, but he did not play like he was 37 years old.
Not at all. Much like Alex Ovechkin this season, right? 44 goals,
Right.
65 games or whatever it was at age 39. Some of these guys like they can just keep doing it and it's incredible. And yeah, the Panthers they had Marchand with I believe it's two 23-year-olds, right? Lundell and Luosterainen. I think they're both 23. So yeah, Fountain of Youth, like you said, he was incredible in this series. Like the Conn Smythe winner, obviously it's like picked for the whole playoffs, but I think if it was similar to some other sports where the MVP is just for that final series, he would have had a really, really good shot at it because, yeah, just a crazy amount of goals, and they were pretty much all highlight reel. Like I said, just undressing the entire Edmonton defense. So yeah, the Panthers. As the road team, they get the split in Edmonton. Edmonton's home ice advantage is gone right off the bat. And then game number three, the first one back in Florida. That one had a way different flavor than the first two, I would say. Like you said, we were looking at maybe the entire series is going to go to overtime. The Panthers came out in game three and like it just was not even close. 6-1 final for the Panthers. And what did you see in that one, Gil?
I saw an Edmonton team that fell apart like an overcooked brisket. Uh, they just the Panthers knew how to push their buttons physically, and the way the Oilers were responded was the absolute wrong way to respond. They just lost it. They completely lost it, and it showed on the ice. And there was no coming back from that kind of unraveling. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for them. Um, it was just easily their worst game in the whole playoffs, if not for the series at least, but not definitely the whole playoffs. Just bad game up and down the lineup for them.
Yeah, I just felt how it was incredible how, like, because the Panthers, they do this or they attempt to do this to every team. Like, they get under your skin. And Edmonton was just like, all right, here's my skin, crawl right in. Like, they just let them do whatever they wanted. And like you said, the Oilers just reacted the completely wrong way. Like, they could not have had a poor performance from my point of view. Like, they just completely unraveled, like you said. And so, yeah, I mean, touchdown for the Panthers, ass kicking in game number three. Game number four was a wild one because the Panthers, they build a huge lead again, and we're kind of like, all right, here we go again. Like, it's going to be another blowout. But then they kind of get, like, I found that they kind of got complacent a little bit almost. Like, they really let their foot off the gas. Once they built that huge lead, they kind of just stopped playing, and that allowed the Oilers to come back and eventually win it in overtime. It was crazy though because it was like the Panthers are up huge. The Oilers come back and tie it. Then the Oilers go ahead, right? I believe it was Jake Wallman scored to make it 4-3. And then the Panthers tie it up super, super late. Sam Reinhart, I think it was with like 19 seconds left to send it to overtime. But then the Oilers, they do get the winner in overtime to complete the comeback. Probably one of the flukiest overtime goals that I've ever seen, if I'm being honest. Leon Draisaitl, he's attempting to make a pass. across kind of through the front of the net front there, attempting to make a pass across, and it goes off of the it was a one-handed pass as well. Like he only had one hand on his stick. He just kind of flings it across, trying to get it to his buddy over there, and it goes off of the Panthers defenseman's leg and in. So I felt pretty bad for Sergei Bobrovsky on that one, as Leon Draisaitl, he wasn't even taking a shot there. But yeah, I mean, like that was basically the first time that the Oilers had even gotten down to the Panthers' end of the ice in overtime, and that goes in. So it was, I mean, the Panthers had dominated the entire overtime. Like they had really bounced back. They had all of the puck possession, several great scoring chances, hit the crossbar, which initially that one by Sam Bennett, I thought it like just hit the crossbar, and then when they showed the replay, you could see that Calvin Pickard actually did just barely get a piece of it that forced it to tick up off the crossbar there. So a great save by him, keeps the Oilers alive, and then the Draisaitl goal eventually wins it. But yeah, Gil, what did you see for this one? Just a
It,
crazy game.
yeah, if you could bottle what this game was, if you could put it in a bottle and sell it as an energy drink, you would make $1 million in like an hour. I guarantee it. This game had everything. This game defied the definition of insanity for me. Let's see. You had Florida jump out to that big lead, like you mentioned, and then what does Edmonton do? Well, they change goalies, and the old adage is, okay, well, you pull the goalie even if you give up a big lead, even if it's not their fault. Um, that was debatable, but something happened to this team. Some way they found a way to respond and pull ahead, and then only to give up the lead in the last 19, 20 seconds, like you mentioned, and then win it back in overtime. I never have I seen a game like that in the final series. And if I had, it's been a long time. But that was again, that was the definition of crazy insanity for me. It's just I've never seen playoff hockey is always to me, it's grind it out, lock it down when you have the lead, and then preserve it in the end. This game was nothing like that. Um, if you're a hockey junkie, if you're really, really love the game, that's the kind of game you like. Maybe somebody on the fringe, not so much. If you didn't love this game when you watched it, then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and so many wild swings, like not only in this game, but through the first four games of the series. It was just like I mean, game four was kind of the epitome of it, right? Like we said, like Panthers up huge, Oilers come back, Oilers take the lead. They blow the lead too with 19 seconds left. Like it really, you just had no idea what was going to happen. And then I think like the Oilers coming out of that game four and getting the split back down in Florida, and they regain home ice, right? I think pretty much everyone that I talked to anyway thought that the Oilers, like having had that massive comeback in game four, they have all the momentum coming home after the comeback in the overtime win. They're coming back to Edmonton for a pivotal game five. Everyone knows game five when the series is tied 2-2 is humongous. Like the amount of times that the team who wins game five goes on to win the series is staggering. So huge game. But yeah, I think everyone thought that like coming back to Edmonton tied 2-2 with the Oilers having all of that momentum, that they would come out and have a really good start. And oh boy, did they not. Like it was another just stinker by the Oilers. If I sound annoyed, it's not on behalf of myself. Obviously, I don't care about the Oilers, but I do feel for my best friend, like I said, that I was telling you about before. My buddy, the Oilers fan, he's really taking it on the chin right now after back-to-back finals losses. But yeah, game five in Edmonton, it's just another absolute ass whooping handed down by the Florida Panthers against the Oilers on their home ice. And like I said, this time, like it's happening in Edmonton, and obviously a very important, very pivotal game number five in the series. Tied 2-2 in a series, like I said, the winner of game five usually wins that series. So the final score ends up being 5-2 for the Panthers in Edmonton. And yeah, I don't know about you, but just the Oilers' body language, like throughout this game, once they were down, and certainly at the end of the game and in their post-game press conferences and stuff like that. Like their body language to me was just not good. Like I kind of had a feeling. Everyone I know who's an Oilers fan, they were, "Oh, don't worry, they'll come back in game six. They'll come back in game six." I thought it was over after that game number five, just because their body language was so poor to me seeing them after the game.
I don't know what it was or who's to blame, but it was kind of obvious that the Oilers were not up to the task. They were not ready to play, which I can't, I don't, I have no explanation. I wish somebody would come up with one, but this was not a team that looked like it was ready. And you just won a game in overtime that you came all the way back down from 3 goals to win in overtime, blew the lead and win it in overtime. You're back in front of your home crowd. How do you not get up for a final series game in your home crowd and come up with a better effort than what they did? Case in point, the very first goal of this game, Brad Marchand off a center ice faceoff, blew by the Oilers, all of the Oilers, especially their decor, who looked like they were standing still, blew right by them and tucks it in 9 minutes into the game.
And this is
Not a
like
good
you
way to
said,
start.
it's a 37-year-old Brad Marchand. It's not Brad
Right.
Marchand in 2011. Like to get beat like that, and he had an amazing series. Like I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but he's never been the fleetest of foot to begin with. And for him to just at 37 years old just turn the Oilers defenseman like a turnstile there. Like it was unbelievable. Like I literally like dropped jaw when I saw this happen live because I just could not believe the way that he just made the Oilers defenseman look there. Like it was insane to me. And like you said, it looked to me like a team that just like I don't know how you like they're talking, and we'll talk about the Panthers because obviously they're the cup champs. Like we'll get into them too, but just focusing on the Oilers first because I'm in Canada, so we focus on them first. But yeah, like they just, I mean, this is a team that after this game, after the series, like all of the talk was like they're talking about like learning lessons. Like we have to learn from this. And it's just like you were just here last year, bro. Like how did you not learn these lessons already? They're the oldest team in the league. Like what do you mean you have to learn lessons? Like that's I don't understand that at all. I don't know. I was flabbergasted to hear that.
Yeah, I wish I had an answer for what happened, because it it's not something I want to see teams that I actually care about repeat. But yeah, I have not seen a complete collapse like that in a pivotal playoff game for a long time. Um, but yeah, that was really bad. They pretty much gave away the series at that point.
Totally. They did. Because yeah, then game six, like we go back to Florida after that one. And it's just another unhinged ass kicking by the Florida Panthers where like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, all of the Edmonton Oilers, like they just have zero answers out there. Like talking about game six specifically, because it is the cup clinching game, we'll go a little bit more in detail on this one. I just want to go through the goals here. The first Panthers goal in this game, oh boy, like Matthias Ekholm, again, veteran defenseman. So I don't know what you're doing here, but he just throws like an absolute grenade of a pass at his defense partner Evan Bouchard, and then Bouchard he bobbles it, trying to control it instead of just making the smart play at that point and just basically booting it out of your own zone. You know, live to fight another day type of thing. But he doesn't want to do that. He tries to like control the pass instead inside of his own blue line. He bobbles it. Sam Reinhart picks up the puck and absolutely undresses Ekholm again to cut into the middle, flips it past Stuart Skinner. I thought this goal was like an epitome of the entire series. Like it was a summarization of the entire series, let's put it that way, because it was just The Oilers defense being horrendous, the goaltender not making a save when you need one. I just thought this goal was horrible all around, starting with that, like I said, grenade of a pass by Matthias Ekholm.
Very, very, very perfect choice of words there. I was going to call that pass an air pizza myself, but yeah, that was oh my God, that was terrible. Bouchard did what he could with it, which wasn't much. Wasn't very good, and yeah, that was just it was a carryover from Game 5. They would just continue to fall apart, and again, I really, really wish I knew, or could put my finger on why, they just could not get it together. And I hate to point fingers, but at that point, you kind of have to look to your on ice leadership, and well, guess who the captain is? It's that person's job to grab the team by the skate laces and say, "All right, enough of this crap. We're playing for the cup here. Stop it. You know, get your head out of your ass." Something. And it wasn't there. And as a result, you had stuff like this happening.
Yeah, I don't know if he whipped out the old temper tantrum that he did in last year's final in the locker room that we saw in the Amazon documentary, but it was needed, I think, because yeah, I mean, I saw the stat like it was I knew that this hadn't happened a lot, but I didn't know that it had actually been this long. Connor McDavid is the first captain to lose back-to-back finals in like over 50 years,
Oh my.
which is just a horrendous stat to have attached to your name when you're supposedly the best player in the league. So I don't know. I think he's a great player, super, super talented player. Like he's so much fun to watch. He's obviously super fast, super skilled, all of that. Um, but yeah, to me, I was just like, how do you go twice back to back and you don't just one of these times take over the series and just win it? Like him and Draisaitl. It's not just McDavid. They have two guys who they refer to as the two best players in the league in Edmonton. So like I don't know how you can make that okay going to back finals and losing both. And especially this year, like I mean, we'll get into all of it, like the numbers and everything, but I thought they weren't very particularly good in the series this year. I thought they were a lot better last year. But this year I just thought like what did Connor McDavid have? One goal, I believe, in this.
One goal in the entire final series.
And it was like at the near the end of a game where the game was already way out of hand and his team was already like gonna lose, right? So it wasn't an impactful goal at all. So, and I think you could see that like when the Oilers came out for their press conferences, their media after the series. Last year, I thought they looked like really, really heartbroken. Like they were all pretty much almost in tears. This year, I just thought they looked pissed off. Like they knew they blew it. They knew they didn't show up. They knew they didn't play well. And everybody just seemed angry to me.
Yeah, that's the impression I got, and I don't want to cast aspersions, but it feels like the air that Connor McDavid gives off has been giving off lately when a microphone has been in his face is like, without saying it, you know what? I'm tired of being here. I'm tired of losing. I want to get onto a team that is going to do something, build around me, and actually try and build a team that I can work with that is going to win a championship or has a better chance to win a championship. That's just me saying that. I'm not quoting any media source, but that's the impression I get whenever I've seen him do an interview in the last 2, 3 days.
Yeah, they did their like end of season media the other day, and that is just like 24/7 on a 24/7 loop up here on Sportsnet. Like he did not just come out and say, as so many superstar players do in these scenarios, like all the Caps guys, like Ovechkin, Backstrom, Oshie, Wilson, whoever it was, Carlson, when they're asked when they're coming to the end of a contract, like when in their younger years, always 110% it was, I want to be here, I want to stay here, I'm not going anywhere. he did not say anything like that. Like not even close. Like he left the door wide open. People are talking about in Edmonton, like there that's gonna be like on a t-shirt if he leaves, like the his quote where he's like he says some nice things kind of about like being in Edmonton, but then he says, but that being said, and everyone's like, that needs to go on a t-shirt, the but that being said, because that could be the quote that just haunts them forever. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, it's like I do want to stick up for like the Oilers and their fans a little bit because it's like I get that you feel like you're the best player in the game, and he probably is, like on most nights. Like I think there are other guys. I don't think it's as like cut and dry, black and white as people make it out to be. I think there's other really, really good players that are in the league as well, like Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar in Colorado come to mind. Nikita Kucherov is up there in points. Like there's other really good players as well. I don't think it's just like black and white, like he's the best, that's it. I also don't think you can fully say that like when you've just watched the guy lose in back-to-back finals and he didn't really do much in this final. But yeah, I kind of want to stick up for the Oilers and their fans a little bit because it's like I get that you feel that you're the best and that you want a team built around you that can win, which seems like an insane thing to say when you've just been to back-to-back finals, to be honest. Because like if you would have just scored a few more goals, you could have won this one. So or the season before as well. Like they lost by 1 goal last year. They were 1 goal away in game 7. So it seems like a little bit of a crazy thing to say in that way. But like the Oilers, like, because we hear this, like, we follow this pretty closely up here with the Canadian teams, right? Like, it's all over the media and everything. They've done a lot for him. Like, they've given him pretty much everything he's asked for. His own personal agent was made the president of the team, right? They hired his junior coach because that's who he wanted hired, right? Like he's here, he's talking about oh, the team wasn't good enough. I want a better team built around me. Okay, but were you not the guy last off season who was pretty much demanding in the media that all of the guys be re-signed that were on the team last season? Like he wanted everybody to stay, so they re-signed everybody and they all stayed. So it's like you can't like you're talking out of both sides of your mouth a little bit, you know? And then at the same time, if you're going to ask for as much money as he's going to ask for, like the contract projections for him are insane, which I get it. Like he's the best player in the league. He deserves the money. But a lot of guys that do deserve the money take a little bit less or a lot less because they want to win, right? Like if he's actually going to take as much money as they say he's going to take, I don't know how you can look at the team and be like, you didn't build a good enough team around me. How do you expect them to build a team around you if you're taking up that much of the salary cap? Like that's the part that doesn't make any sense to me. Like if you're going to ask for, they're saying like 16 million bucks. Like where is the money when you're paying two players $30 million between him and Draisaitl? Like where is the money to, spend on goaltending, spend on defense, spend on some better, depth forwards? Because we'll get to the Panthers, but their depth is insane. And that's what made the difference in the series. Like sometimes it's better to have that money spread out a little bit more, but I don't know how he expects the Oilers to do that, I guess is my point, if he's going to ask for that much money.
And that every word of that is true, but there is an elephant in the room that we've been ignoring for mostly, and it was very, very obvious these last 3 games. Um, if the Oilers have any desires on actually winning the cup, I'm sorry, they need better goaltending.
Yep. That's that's me holding my stick in the glove there. Yeah, Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard, that's a wild choice to go into another year with that. I don't know. I totally agree. Like that's the one area where I think like he can look at the Oilers and kind of be like, what the fuck? Like this is what you give me in net. Um, I mean, they've been saying all this time though how much they love Stuart Skinner, and I've been saying the whole time the guy sucks. Like I don't know how you can't like when was the last time that a goalie with a sub 900 save percentage won the Stanley Cup? You'd have to go
A
way, way back,
long ways back.
way back. And especially when you're up against a guy like Sergei Bobrovsky, like good luck. It's not happening. And the amount of times that they had to switch back and forth between goalies in these playoffs, like it's the old saying, right? Like if you were asking yourself who your starting goalie is on a given night, then you don't have one because you wouldn't be having to ask that question if you had an actual clear-cut number one. Before game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final in a 2-2 series, they didn't know who they're going to start. Like that is insane to me. That's crazy. So that's the one area where I think Connor McDavid has a point and has a legitimate gripe with the Oilers is like you cannot come back to me next year and expect me to sign a contract with these two guys being our two goalies because it's not going to happen. It's just not going to work.
No, and I and again, I don't have an explanation as to why they stuck with Skinner, who by all accounts is a great locker room guy, guy you can easily root for. That's great, but if he doesn't make the stops that he has to make, and the one in this final game where well, okay, so your professional opinion, I think you know the shot I'm talking about. Uh, the crosswing shot where it looked like he might have been handcuffed, but most goalies I know, they could have reached out with their gloved hand and grabbed it. And he kind of weakly pushed out his blocker hand and deflected it. And his own defensemen were kind of like standing there like, what did you just do? You're supposed to catch that and then clear it. And that's what they were prepared for.
Yeah.
And then he just lets it bounce right off of him and turns it over to Florida. Easy goal. And that pretty much sealed the game right there, if not the series. But yeah, like you said, that was just typical of the way you know the Oilers were playing as a whole these last 2, 3 games. But when your goalie does something like that, that is extremely deflating to a team. I don't know how they could how they could hang on to a guy like that when you're that close to the cup. I don't know. He might be a nice guy, but he's not gonna be the one that leads you to the promised land. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what all of the Oilers fans are saying now is it's like if Stuart Skinner wasn't an Edmonton guy, like if he wasn't from Edmonton, would he still have been on the team this year? Probably not. Like it's kind of like because he's a feel good story kind of thing. You're talking about the third goal, I believe, right? That was the one that's really sunk things for me. Because yeah, we kind of we went way off track there for a minute, but we were going through the goals. The second Panthers goal was just the one where there's another turnover by the Oilers. And then Connor McDavid does like a flyby on the back check, just completely flies past his guy on the back check, on the back check rather. And then they leave the puck, drop it back a little bit to Matthew Tkachuk. And this was not a great goal either, to be honest. Like there was a really good screen in front, so I'll give Stuart Skinner that. But looking at the replay, like it did look like he did see the shot though. So I don't know how much you can blame the screen for it because it looked like he saw it and it just went like he just missed it. Like it just went off of his glove, tipped off of his glove and into the net. So I don't know. He was screened, like I said, but it's not a great goal regardless because it did look like he saw it. And then the third Panthers goal, the one that you're talking about, I literally, Gil, like when this goal went in, I could not believe that Stuart Skinner did that. Like as a goaltender, like I literally jumped up in my living room. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, are you serious?" Like it was just like a total muffin. Like the Panthers are like pretty much like just throwing it on net to get a face off, like an offensive zone face off. Like they're pretty much just flipping it to Stuart Skinner, just being like, "Here, grab this. We'll take the face off." And instead, he just decides to, like you said, he just hot potatoes it right to Alexander Barkov, too. Like there was no Oilers player anywhere in the vicinity. He just bumps it right to Barkov because that's the guy you want to give it to, right? And then Barkov throws it in front to Sam Reinhart, and it's 3-0. And like you said, that for me, that was the game right there. Like the game was over at that point. How deflating that goal was, and it puts them up 3-0, like right near the end of the second period. 2-0 going into the third is like not that big of a deal for the Edmonton Oilers. Like I feel like they could have probably, come back. Maybe they get one and then it becomes really tight. Like they can come back from 2-0, but I just felt like this 3-0 goal, it was just so deflating. Oilers fans were saying like you could see the team quit in real time when that play happened by Stuart Skinner and when this goal went in. You could just see everybody's body language, like I said, just sagging on the ice and on the bench. And yeah, I mean, like to go down 3-0 with the way that the Florida Panthers defend, and with the way that the Edmonton Oilers were, generating absolutely nothing offensively up to that point. It was game over, lights out, good night for the Edmonton Oilers, and just a terrible play by Stuart Skinner. I could not believe, like, because that is. I can't emphasize enough, like I'm getting really wound up here about this one, but because literally I was like, I could not believe that he did that because that's like it's goaltending 101, like from the time that you're 4 years old. Like you do not do that. Like it's just a puck's coming to you like that. Just cradle it. Just keep it. Just hold it for the face. And his team at that point, like the broadcast pointed that out as well. His teammates were all like at the end of a long shift. Like they needed a change. And rather than just holding onto the puck, taking the face off, change your line, get some fresh guys out there, he decides to bump it over to Barkov. And yeah, for me, that was like it was the worst goal of the Stanley Cup Final. It was a horrendous play and just unforgivable for me if you're Stuart Skinner.
Yeah, that's you couldn't help but think everything was over then at that point, and and then pretty much for a good chunk of the third period, they pulled him and played 6-on-5, as if that was going to be any remedy. And then, not to preempt your recap, but they end up giving at least a couple of empty net goals, which
Yeah, we don't got to go through those ones. We're just
no, and yeah, it was. But yeah, that when that particular goal was let in, yeah, I don't know. It's not easy to come back from something like that.
No, it's just super deflating. And I wanted to get your thoughts. So obviously, like this game is a blowout. Panthers win the cup. Just quickly finishing up on the Oilers side of things, like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl each being a -4 in the cup clinching game. What are your thoughts on that? Them along with Evan Bouchard as well. Like those three guys are a combined -12 in game six, the cup clinching game. And those they weren't passive minuses either. Like these three guys were pretty aggressively involved in almost every single goal scored against the Edmonton Oilers in this game. So just wanted to get your thoughts on their play. It's funny too because this cup clinching game, it was just looking at the date here, if I'm not mistaken, it came right after the US Open weekend for golf, right? I believe.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it was on like the Tuesday right after the US Open weekend. So maybe that's where McDavid and Draisaitl and Bouchard thought they were. Like maybe they just got confused and they thought that they were playing in the US Open because -12 would actually be a pretty good score for the US Open. Like what did the guy who won the US Open end up winning with? Like how many was he under par?
Anna's the golf person in our group, so she would probably know if she were here. But yeah, well, as far as the comparison, we have a similar core here in DC, that shall we say isn't always known, pardon me, for playing defense. But -4 each, not just among themselves, but each. Yeah, that's pretty bad. At some point, you got to realize, okay, if I want to win this game, I got to take care of my own end. And it was like they absolutely did not. None of these three guys are known for that. So that's why I take the Washington kind of perspective on it. Ovechkin, Carlson, Strome, whatever other center you want to throw in there. But you're facing elimination. You got to find some way to figure out how best to help your team, especially if you're not scoring. And you mentioned a flyby. I don't know if he just missed his assignment or just didn't care or what what happened or I don't know. But it was all kinds of you know is an old man word I'm going to throw out here, but all kinds of discombobulation from top to bottom in the Oilers lineup from minute one to the end. And you know the minus 12 among those three guys was a big part of it.
Yeah, and I don't think, like you said, I don't think that it's that anybody doesn't care. I just think like it looked like an elementary school fire drill out there, right? Like everybody's just running around not knowing where they're supposed to be. So to me, like the coaching is probably to blame a little bit too, but also like when you're how like I think he's going to be 29 next season. Like when you're a veteran player now, you've been in the league for 10, 11 years, like you got to know where to be on the ice, right? Like you're about to be the highest paid guy in the league. You're the number one center. You're in the Stanley Cup final. Like you have to know where to be, especially as the centerman too. That's the thing. And I would be losing my mind if this was Alex Ovechkin as well, by the way, being -4 in a cup clinching game. So it's not just like, because this is not my team, I'm gonna rip on them. Like I would be doing the exact same thing if it was Ovechkin, Strome, and Wilson or whoever else being -4 in a cup clinching game. So, and yeah, I just looked this up by the way, and JJ Spawn won the U.S. Open with a score of one under. He was one under par, so -1. So there you go. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Evan Bouchard would have won the U.S. Open in a landslide. So there you have it. And then yeah, the other thing that I thought was crazy about this series was just the time spent leading for the Florida Panthers versus the Edmonton Oilers. The Florida Panthers, they set a new NHL record for the most time spent leading in a Stanley Cup Final series. So I believe it was, I don't have the numbers right in front of me right now, but I believe it was like 255 minutes that they spent leading in the series. And it's a 6 game series as well. It didn't even go the full 7. The Edmonton Oilers, they only led for 8% of the series. So
Yeah. Sorry, my little critter here is wanting to make an appearance.
that's okay.
Because it's yeah, that almost that time. Not quite that time, but almost. Um, yeah, well, here's the thing. Thinking about that, and I saw that stat, and I thought, okay, that's great and all, but if you lead for that amount of time, elapsed time in the series, and you still manage to lose 2 games, what that tells me is you're playing a team that knows how to beat you in the clutch. And that's why even with, game 6 looking like it did, at least in the beginning, I thought the Oilers still had some sort of a chance. Because it seemed like every time they were, pushed against the wall, they found a way to come back. The best teams do that. But somewhere between game 3 and the end, they lost their will to compete. They lost their compete completely. And they just didn't do whatever was necessary to win. I wish I knew what happened. Maybe it was a locker room thing, maybe it was a coaching thing, but somehow, they just did not decide to play the way they needed to play.
Yeah, and I think that's what was so frustrating just talking to Oilers fans was that like most Oilers fans they just felt that the team kind of quit. Like they didn't show up in the early parts of games for sure, and then like game 5, game 6, like where was the compete level like you said. Like I think that's what they're all really frustrated about, just to have that opportunity, the series being 2-2 coming back home. Like that building was insane for game 5. Like it was crazy loud in there. As it always is in the Canadian buildings. But yeah, I just for the Oilers, like they didn't show up to me. Like they didn't play well enough to win. On the Panthers side of things, like we'll just quickly talk about them. Florida Panthers, I gotta say, I don't know how many Caps fans agree with me, but like For me, being up here in Canada, you know the teams that I don't like and the teams that I want to lose. It's the Leafs and the Oilers. So, like, I'm very happy when that happens because then the media up here, Sportsnet, is forced to talk about something else, like actually show you other games and other teams and stuff like that. So it's always like a great annual event when the Leafs are eliminated and again when the Oilers go out. So that's always a lot of fun. But yeah, the Florida Panthers, now in the last 3 years, they've knocked out the Leafs twice for me and they've knocked out the Oilers twice for me. So big Florida Panthers fan over here right now. Like I love the way that they play. Like they're definitely like aside from obviously our Washington Capitals, like Capitals are my team. But the Panthers are like I would say they're my definitely second favorite team to watch right now just because of the way that they play. I just love how in your face they are. They're so aggressive on the forecheck, on defense, all over the ice, all three zones. Like they're just right on you right away all the time. So maybe just quickly, like, what did you think of the Panthers play in the series and going back to back?
I kept on expecting them to hit a wall, and they never did. This is the third straight year they'd reached the final. Most of the core is together, or has been together since. Kachuk, Barkov, Bobrovsky. So a lot of Bennett, a lot of those guys playing a lot of hockey over 3 years. A full 82 game season plus playoffs, plus in Kachuk's case, the Four Nations tournament. Um, Lots of hockey over 3 years. Sooner or later, you're going to break. You're going to wear down. This team does not. Um, I don't know how, but they managed to keep it all together. They've got that something.
Or helps that they roll four lines all the time.
Right, right, and they're incredible. Well, that probably is a big part of their secret that they can do that. That they have the most amazing depth of all 32 rosters. So that probably helps, so that no one line is expected to do everything. And yet they still have a Sam Bennett that puts 15 goals in the net the whole playoffs. And they still have Brad Marchand running around, scoring crucial goals, like it's nothing. They still have, and surprisingly enough, the guy who had the quietest successful playoffs of all, Carter Verhaeghe, he still can put it away. And when that you shut down that part of the offense, he's still lurking around and can sneak in the back door and put one in. So maybe I think you just hit upon it. Maybe it's the depth. Maybe that's how this team has become so unstoppable.
Yeah, their third line in these playoffs, it was like a first line for any other team. Like
Yeah.
the way that they were scoring, they were incredible. Lundell centering Marchand and Luosterainen. And yeah, when you can throw out like number one center of Barkov, number two center of Bennett, and then number three Lundell, who Panthers fans call Mini Barkov, right? Like the depth is just so incredible. Uh, I'm envious, really. Like that, it's just incredible to watch. I think the Caps are building towards that. Like they're kind of building to that point as well. We saw obviously this past season, like they had a lot better depth than they've had in the more recent years. But yeah, like the Panthers are like they're like the cream of the crop right now, obviously with the back-to-back cups, and I do think that's how they've done it because like if you look at these playoffs, like they're top guys like Barkov, Reinhart right up until the very end. Uh, I know both guys were playing injured. Like Barkov had the huge gash it came out on his hand that was like I think it was like 16 stitches or something, and they said it kept opening up and they had to keep closing it, and then they ended up just gluing it like right on the palm of his hand. So that's very difficult to play with that. Reinhardt they said was playing with a grade 2 MCL sprain, so like I know they were injured, but like when you look at these playoffs as a whole, their top guys didn't necessarily score as much. Barkov obviously is amazing defensively. Reinhardt too. Like Reinhardt is a Selke Trophy finalist as well. Lost it to Barkov, but yeah. So those guys they do a lot of things defensively as well, but they didn't necessarily score that much throughout these playoffs. But they didn't have to because the Panthers' depth is so incredible. Second line Bennett, 15 goals, like you said. Third line scoring like a first line. Like I think it's just they're such a complete team that it's hard, like I said, for any team that's going to pay their top stars as much as the Oilers do to match that depth. Oilers or the Leafs, like they're both kind of in the same boat. But yeah, what an incredible final, what an incredible playoffs as a whole. Um, did suck that the Caps went out in the second round, but I think watching the way that Carolina got waxed by Florida anyway, kind of kind of made it a little bit easier. Although the Caps, man, they played Florida really well this season. Like they swept them in the regular season. I know that doesn't mean anything. I know all of that. But they did play the Panthers really, really tough this season. So it would have been fun to see if they could do anything against them. But obviously, we don't get the chance when you have the series that the Caps did against Carolina. But yeah, just shifting gears here, just to finish up. I just wanted to quickly talk a little bit of off-season talk. I'm just gonna pull up Puckpedia here because I just wanted to ask you, in terms of the Washington Capitals pending free agents, like I just want to quickly run through them, and you can just tell me, just really simple, like if you want them re-signed or not, re-sign or let them go. Uh,
Sure.
so the guys that are coming up on July 1st to be free agents, we won't count Nicholas Backstrom and TJ Oshie because obviously they're not going to be returning, although I think we would both obviously say that we would love them to if they could, but we're past that point now, so
If they could.
if they could, yeah. Okay, we'll do the UFAs first. So let's start with the oldest guy there, after Backstrom and Oshie is Lars Eller. What do you think about Lars Eller?
Yeah, loved what he did in 2018. Haven't really loved much of what he's done since. Unfortunately, I get why they traded for him. Unfortunately, that experiment went by the wayside pretty quick, and I'm sorry. I don't see he's not cutting it as a third line center. I don't see a place for him on this team. And much like when Jacob Vrana made the team out of training camp. Okay, nice to see you're trying to get the band back together, but that doesn't get you too far. And they quickly found that out, and the fact that they were still insisted on playing him too much, even though that hole became bigger and more glaring and more of a problem. Yeah, sorry, I'm going too long about this, but it was just probably easily the most frustrating point of the Caps roster this year. So, short answer, no.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's really no question that he's not going to be back. He's 36 now too, so definitely getting up there. He was never fast to begin with, but he's definitely lost even an extra step or two. So, and I think if you read into like what Chris Patrick and Brian McClellan said when the offseason was beginning for the Caps about wanting to make sure that they construct a really strong third line for next season because they felt that that was a point of weakness all season, which obviously we definitely agree here. I thought that was the weakest point of the team for sure was the third line. And you see like a team like the Panthers, their third line, what they're doing in the playoffs, like you need to be able to, even if you can't totally match it, you need to be able to have something that can at least provide something for you. Like you can't have a third line that you can't even put out there, right? Which I felt was the case a lot of the time with Lars Eller centering it this season. I think they'll probably give Connor McMichael a shot at the 3C. He was so good on the wing last season, though, so I don't know. We'll see how that all plays out, but
Well, the thing with that is that's actually his natural position.
yeah,
And when he started with the Caps, and wasn't getting a whole lot of playing time. The few times he did excel was when he was playing center. So the prevailing wisdom is you go back to bring him back to that. Maybe even more of his brilliance will come out. Not that he had obviously not that he had a bad season, but I think they're going to want to see what he can do there.
yeah, yeah. I've really liked. I've really liked him anytime that he's been at center. I really liked him on the wing last season too, but the few times that they have put him at center, I thought he's looked really, really good. And I love his speed up the middle, and he's such a smart player too. Like he can so easily play center. Like he's good defensively, all of that. So I think they'll give him probably the first shot at it, him and maybe Hendrix Lapierre. I don't think there's a ton of options in free agency, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anthony Beauvillier. What do you think about?
Uh, Got to find a way to keep him. I can't believe how he meshed so well when he was put on the top line. Um, a lot of games down the stretch, he was the difference. And I've said it many times. I'll say it again here on your podcast. The Ever since they got him, he was easily the Caps' best player from the area in whichever corner you want to take in the offensive zone to the crease. That space, he was easily the Caps' best player, and it's so underrated. But if you can do what you can do, what he did in that space that he did with the Caps, that'll win you some games as he showed them. So I don't think they're going to have to break the bank with him, but as long as he's not asking for too much, I definitely think he's worth it.
Yeah, I'd like to see them keep him as well, depending on the price tag and the term. He's what is he, 28 now? So, but yeah, it's interesting because he's like a smaller guy, but he's so good at getting to the net front anyway. Like he just plays with no fear, right? Like he's not afraid of anything. He gets right to that crease. We saw that in the playoffs this season. We've seen it in the playoffs multiple times when he's been against the Caps. So yeah, he was always a pain in our butt. So I was happy when they traded for him, and I think he worked out really well here. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep him at a fair price tag or not. I think if he is asking for too much, I would probably let him go just because like you do have so many young guys coming up. But I would like to see him stay for sure if the price is right. Andrew Mangiapane.
I really, really wanted to see him succeed. I thought he would. He had a shot at being on the top two lines, didn't make much of it. So then he got put on the third line, and I just don't know. We didn't see enough of him at his best, I think, and unfortunately, I think he is starting to regress. He's just not worth that price tag that he's on. I think his contract was 5.8 million. So sorry, got to let him go.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think just don't need him. Like I like him as a player. I think he's a good guy, all that in the locker room, but I just think like I said, the Caps have so many young guys coming up pushing for spots. Like I would rather see that spot go to a younger player like a Ryan Leonard, right? So yeah, I think you let him walk for sure. Taylor Radish.
More of the same. Didn't really see too much out of him. He didn't overly impress me. He was okay, but he was kind of more like a filler guy on the fourth line. They didn't, couldn't find anybody better to fill that role, but and they kind of experimented with putting him with better players, and he still didn't do much better. So he's not taking much room in salary anyway, but again, like you said, we've got some younger guys that deserve some time, and if he's taking a roster space away from them, then best to let him go.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought he was really good on that fourth line. That fourth line was really good all season, but I also think that that fourth line has been really, really good no matter who you put on it, as long as Nick Dowd is centering it. So, yeah, I'd like to see a younger kid get that spot as well. And then we don't really have anybody interesting on defense like Ethan Bear. That's the only UFA. So yeah, that's all of the UFAs. I would assume there would be new contracts for a guy like Hendrix Lapierre, RFA most likely, unless they use them as trade bait. But I did think that like the Caps, like it's not an overwhelming list of like unrestricted free agents there. Like there's nobody there that you're really like, oh my God, we got to re-sign them. And the reason why that is because all of the unrestricted free agents that they did have coming up, who I did really want re-signed and who I did think were really, really important to re-sign, they already have been re-signed during the season, right? Like Logan Thompson, Jacob Chikrin, Nick Dowd, Charlie Lindgren, like those were the four that I was like, I want to keep them. Um, and the two biggest ones obviously being Logan Thompson and Jacob Chikrin, but they got those done early. So now we don't have to worry about it, right? So just curious because I don't think I ever asked you like what were your thoughts on them re-signing those four guys?
Lindgren is going to be a very good backup. I think 3 years is just the right amount of term for him. I hate to say it because I really like Charlie, but I think by then or at the end of his contract, his skills might start to erode a bit. So that'd probably be about the right time. Also, if you know, spoiler alert, getting to another part of the Caps offseason, if the Caps draft well and know what they're doing, by then, hopefully, whatever goalie they might be drafting will be ready by then. So that still plays into their hands. So Chikrin, maybe a little bit on the expensive side, both term and money wise, but you know, sometimes you got to overpay, and this is one of those cases. He's gonna, after Carlson retires or moves on this year, which is most likely, he's going to be the number one. He's going to be driving the play from the back line, so you kind of had to get him to commit.
He
And
was like
again,
a must re-sign for me.
yeah, he absolutely had to be signed. Logan Thompson, yes, same as Charlie. You had to solidify your goalies. Easily the best performance turned in by the goalie tandem in many years. Um, so yeah, definitely lock those guys up. His play spoke for itself. Took the number one job about a third of the way in the season, ran with it. That's great to see. A lot more durable than I thought he'd be. Although I think he kind of wore down in the playoffs a bit, um, because of all the stuff that happened to him. But I think he'll bounce back and have a pretty good year next year. I don't think this year was a fluke at all. You look at the analytics; he was actually the second best goalie with certain stats. I think expected goals against. He was number two.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
just gonna say he was still even like all the way by the end
even
of
with
the playoffs.
e-
He was
even
still
with right all the other.
he was still second in goals saved above expected and
Yes,
first in save percentage as well ahead of Bobrovsky.
yes. And so who was the fourth one, or
Uh,
did we cover all
Judy,
them?
Judge Judy Dowd.
Oh, Nick Dowd. Okay. So I know some fellow Caps fans who, let's just say, we're not happy with that. I'm leaning towards, okay, we need him, but we might have overpaid and overtermed for him. I would have liked to have seen him sign a 1 year contract for maybe a little bit less money. But it's kind of obvious we still need him. He's going to have to be the anchor on that fourth line for at least one more year. They signed him for two. Um, but that might have been on the other side of that coin, that might have been yet another roster spot that could have gone to a younger guy that, okay, if you're going to start him somewhere, maybe the fourth line is a good place. But so like you were saying with the third line spot, put McMichael there, and then if Lapierre doesn't impress enough, make him the fourth line center. So you could have had something there, but you can't now that you've committed to Dowd. So I don't know, kind of a yin yang thing there, but I am happy he's still there because we do need him. But then again, he's not getting any younger.
Yeah, I just think I was happy anyway that they re-signed him because I just think that fourth line has been so important for them. Like Carberry, you like Nick Dowd had he had the highest percentage of defensive zone starts in the entire National Hockey League last season. Like every defensive zone face-off, pretty much that's who Carberry puts out, and he's so good at that, like taking those assignments. And I also think to your point, like if they are gonna bring in somebody like maybe on bring in a younger guy up from Hershey to play on that fourth line, maybe in that right wing spot, assuming that they don't re-sign Taylor Radish. I think that's also why you keep Nick Dowd because he's such a good veteran guy, a great leader to like all of the young guys have talked about that. Like he's so great. Like he's so he communicates so well. He is kind of almost like having an extra coach on the bench. he teaches them, and just make sure that he's showing them like what's right and what's not. So I think that's also maybe a reason why you keep him if you're going to bring somebody young up, just to kind of like help them adjust to the NHL game and whatnot. And he like maybe like maybe in the second year of the contract you might I don't know, maybe by that point you might flip him. I don't know. It depends.
That's exactly what I was thinking just now.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe at the trade deadline, when teams are either fighting for a playoff spot or trying to go for depth, that's a guy who would look attractive, and you flip him for whatever you can get at that point.
There were teams wanting to pay a first round pick for him last season. Like
Yes.
he was that popular. Like because teams know now like your fourth line is super super important. And so I think for the Caps like where they are now, like I think if they were actually like I say actually rebuilding, but they are actually rebuilding. But I mean actually rebuilding as in like if they sucked, then they probably wouldn't have re-signed him. But I think because they were like a very competitive team last season and they feel like they have a chance to, go on a playoff run, I think that's also why they re-signed him because he's important to that.
I like how you just put that because I think that's what pissed off a lot of the mainstream hockey media this year. Because I think too many of the so-called experts had the Caps in rebuild mode. And the traditional definition of that is, okay, we suck. We're going to get rid of everybody making too much money or is too old or is too slow. And we're going to continue to suck and let the younger guys have a crack at it. And the Caps management totally redefined that by getting these great players that meshed so well and having a coach that knows how to push the right buttons, knows how to build the lineup, give them the ice time that they needed. No wonder why a lot of these guys had, great years. Dubois, McMichael, Chikrin, a lot of these guys,
There's all of them.
yeah. So
Total.
I love that it pissed off the hockey media that they totally redefined what it means to rebuild.
Yeah, now they're talking about like, oh, how can teams be like the Capitals? How can you rebuild like the Capitals? Like that's the new thing now. But yeah, they want us to be like Pittsburgh, right? They want us to just go quietly into the night and just I don't know what's going to happen there with Sidney Crosby. We'll see. That could get interesting though. Now that they fired his favorite coach and are apparently the only team according to Elliot Friedman that they're the only team he says that is like a true seller. Like they want to suck. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I
I,
don't
I
think
I
that's going to
can't
fly with Sid.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's kind of a sad story that he's got to go out on a team like that. And the from what I'm hearing is that he's not even thinking about oh, trade me to another team so I have one last shot at a cup. That's the last thing on his mind. So I'll give him credit that for that mentality, but it, it's really kind of sad to see somebody like that have to go out like that. But I mean they made their bed, now they got to lie in it.
Yes, I agree. It's so sad. No, I do feel a little bad for him though. But yeah, just wrapping up here. So that's all the Caps free agents. Give me like just to finish, like give me a move or two that you would like to see them make if everything went the way that you want it to.
Wow. Okay. So I am of the mindset that, and I'm not going to be too disappointed if it happens because I mean I believe in the youth movement. I believe in the prospects that they've got. So I'm fine with it. But I would absolutely love seeing a deal at the draft where they package that first round pick, maybe another pick. Maybe one or two of their prospects, not the blue chippers, but one or two of the mid-tier prospects. I'm not going to throw out any names, but I'm going to say of the untouchables, Chris Stahl, Leonard, and Ryan Chesley. As long as none of those three guys are talked about as being dealt, Anybody else probably in the pipeline is available. Maybe at the draft, you trade that pick and some prospects for a top line forward. Because my biggest concern is after this year, as far as we know, Alex Ovechkin and his 35 to 45 plus goals are going bye-bye, and you got to replace that.
Yeah, because people forget it's like everyone's like, oh, he's getting old. Like, let's turn it over. Let's hand over the reins to the new guy. He still had 44 goals in
Yep.
65 games. That's a lot of goals that you've got to replace. So, and I do think obviously the young guys coming up will kind of by committee make up for some of that. But I would like to, I'm in agreement. I'd like to see them get like a bona fide, another top six, top line forward. Um, I would probably add Cole Hudson to that. I would not trade Cole Hudson.
I totally forgot about him, but yes, definitely hang on to him. Him and Chesley are easily the future of the Caps blue line. So yes, I would definitely add him to the untouchables list.
Yeah, they're gonna have a sick blue line in a few years with with those two. I think they've played together before too for Team USA, so like in the US development program. So I could definitely see them being a future pairing going forward. Okay, I'm gonna throw one out here. Of all the moves that I've heard talked about for the Caps, like the ones that are actually being rumored, like that there might be some truth to them. There's been a lot of rumors. But the one that I actually am interested in and actually like, depending on the cost, would be JJ Peterka from Buffalo. I like that because he's like an actual legit scoring forward. Like I want somebody who can put the puck in the net. That's basically what I'm going for.
If you want to do a sneaky mid-tier Chris Patrick, Brian McClellan patented move that you know doesn't look like a whole lot on the surface, but ends up being one. This is it. I will make the joke that a lot of Paterka's goals came against the Capitals, so maybe his stats are a bit inflated. Um, he said half jokingly, but no, you're right. I think, pardon me, I think he is that kind of a mid-tier forward that would have made the difference in the playoffs. And that someone the Caps desperately need. So I don't know in terms of the cost. I don't want to see them break the bank for him, but if the price is right, then yes, that would definitely be a very good deal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, depending on the cost, like, I wouldn't, I'm not trading any blue chip prospects whatsoever. Like, I'm letting all of those guys come up and mature with the team and keep building what we're building here. But if it can be like, I know for a fact the Caps are open to trading their first round pick this year because it's a weaker draft and all that. So they've said that, right? Like, they're willing to move that late first round pick in this year's draft and maybe like you said, you add like a kind of a second tier prospect. But yeah, like a guy like Paterka, I would love to have because he's a legit top six forward, right? He's a scoring forward. He's 23 years old. He's already like over 60 points in a season. So that's somebody that I would love to have. If we're talking crazy talk out of Buffalo, like I'd go a little bit buck wild to get Tage Thompson if that's a possibility, but I don't know. Like I've heard some crazy things out of Buffalo. Like it seems
That's yeah, I would love to have him, but that is a huge contract to take on. I absolutely would love to have him, but I don't know. The price might be a little too high.
yeah. Yeah, I think that would cost significantly more. That's why I'm saying JJ Paterka probably more realistic. But yeah, it seems like everybody wants out of Buffalo. So um
Yeah.
when a guy is asking to be traded, you can sometimes get them for a little bit less. So, and I know they said Paterka doesn't want to be there anymore, which why would he? Like, no one
Yeah.
wants to be on that team anymore. So, no offense to the Sabres, but yeah, that's a guy that I would love to see the Caps go after. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a crazy offseason, I'm sure. Although they did say that it will, like Chris Patrick said, it'll probably be quieter than last season when he rebuilt like a third of the team, or Brian McClellan did. So probably a little bit quieter this season, but I'm sure that there's going to be things happening.
Oh, I'm sure that we'll find low key ways to retool the team even further. Um, I would not look for a big deal, but then again, if it's something that makes the most sense to them, you know, they're not ruling it out, which is why I'm kind of waiting with a lot of anticipation for the draft and see what they do there because their immediate needs are a top line center and a goalie. And while this draft has a crop full of quality centers, they might all be gone by the 27th pick. So again, probably no reason to hang on to it if you can make a deal for better.
Yeah, and like I would which that's what they said too. Like they've already said that like they would be willing to trade this year's pick way more so than next year's pick because I think next year is expected to be a much deeper draft. So yeah, I think now is the time. Like you trade the pick, you get a legit player for your NHL roster now and see where it goes. But yeah, that's why I said Paterka because that to me that's like a Brian McClellan, Chris Patrick kind of little bit under the radar, but really
Yep.
impactful potentially move, which is exactly, and it's right in that age range that they want, like that 23 to 25 age range of players. So, yeah, I would say that that's a distinct possibility. But yeah, Gil, thank you so much for joining me here today. It's always so much fun to do these episodes with you. Yeah, I just love having you on. It's I usually do them alone, right? So it's a lot of fun to actually get to converse and talk hockey with someone other than myself and the voices in my head. So it's 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 a lot of fun to actually talk with another human being, talking Caps and the rest of the NHL. And yeah, just thank you so much for coming on again, and just remind everyone again like where they can find you and follow you and all of that, so that we make sure that everyone knows where to follow you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Anytime you need me, I'm there. Yeah, so it's Power Play Point podcast that we're on. We're going to pick up things again just after training camp in October when the season starts. Podbean is our main distributor, but you can find us just about everywhere podcasts are played. You can stream us on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're just do a little bit of self promotion and bragging here. We're a 5-star rated Apple podcast. If you'd like to leave us a rating, do please do that there. Yeah, you can listen to our back episodes. We've had Jenaya on one last summer, 365 days ago, where we were rating, doing the same thing, finishing up the year and rating the off-season moves. So you want to you want to hear us talk about that? There's that. But yeah, there's yeah, that's who we are. And again, if you want to come on and talk with us, we have an open door policy. Just contact myself or Anna, and you can come on, be part of our recording anytime.
Which, yeah, spoiler alert, that episode that we had done together on your podcast last off season, we had said that we largely loved the moves that they had made, and we were right. So
Yes, thank goodness we were.
yeah, no, this has been so much fun. I look forward to having you on again sometime. It's I don't do so many episodes throughout the off season because obviously like things kind of slow down throughout the summer months. But definitely when we get back into the season and doing regular episodes and whatnot, have to have you on again during season as well, not just for off season talk. Because yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot happening next season as well. We're what are we now? Three goals away from 900, so that'll be a big moment, like right off the bat next season. And yeah, probably potentially some new guys on the team as well, so it should be fun. Thank you all so much for listening today. If you are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and click on that subscribe button if you feel so inclined. We would love to have you here with us for all of these episodes. If you're listening to the audio version only, same thing, you can click on that subscribe button and follow along for episodes all throughout. Like I said, not regular episodes throughout the off season, but we will have a couple more coming up, most likely talking about you know, the draft, free agency, who the Caps sign, things like that. And if there are any big moves. So a couple of episodes most likely coming up throughout the rest of the off season, and then we get back into the regular episodes throughout the regular season. So subscribe, follow along if you would like. And yeah, just thank you all so much for listening today. It's been a pleasure. And Gil, thank you again so much for coming on.
You are always welcome.
All right. And let's leave this with let's go Caps.
Let's go, Caps.